Welcome to another viewing and reacting video brought to you by me, the J Dude. And today I'm gonna look at another Twilight-Tober Zone episode. This time it's on the review of the Howling Man. I'll bet you dollars to donuts that it's either the story or the twist it's about werewolves. I'll bet you either the story or the twist it's about werewolves. I'll bet you dollars to donuts that. Here we go. Cryptic music.
There is a lot to say about the Howling Man. They had the best of the best behind the scenes bringing this one to life. Of course, I'm talking about writer Charles Beaumont and director Douglas Hayes. The last time these two teamed up was in one of my favorite episodes from season 1, that being Elegy. Hayes continued to knock his installments out of the park following the After Hours and the brilliant Nervous Man in a $4 Room from earlier in the second season. This was the 5th episode written by Beaumont overall, and the first to air in Season 2. An ominous tone.
Is that supposed to be like Moses or something like, "Let my people go"?
Excellent visuals, fantastic performances, and a chilling message make the
That would be
Howling
cool.
Man not only memorable, but probably one of the best constructed episodes of all 156 original Twilight Zone installments. The story follows a man named David Ellington during post-World War I Europe. He's wandering in the middle of an intense storm after losing his way on a walking trip.
Cliché!
Ellington pounds on a large monastery door looking for shelter. After some convincing,
You rain.
he's allowed to enter what's referred to as the Hermitage, where members of a mysterious religious order all reside. Ellington passes out from sickness and later, after hearing strange howling sounds, discovers that the order has a man imprisoned. The man pleads with Ellington to let him out and calls the brothers in the Hermitage religious fanatics. The leader of the group, Brother
That sounds kind of familiar in today's time.
Jerome, eventually explains to David that the man imprisoned is the devil himself. The only thing keeping him from escaping is Jerome's staff of truth. He warns Ellington to not listen to the man in the cell and to stay away from him at all costs. David is left to wonder who is really telling the truth. Based on Beaumont's short story, The Howling Man went...
I know you can't see this, but if you look online, the book on the Howling Man has a picture of a clown in, like a clown, like not Pennywise, but a clown. So that's kind of weird.
through several changes from print to screen. Beaumont changed several aspects of the original tale when writing his teleplay, but Douglas Hayes made a few more significant changes of his own, which we'll get to in the twist section. They mostly have to do with the visuals of this episode, an aspect that were absolutely striking and delivered powerfully by the famously image-driven director. Canted, or Dutch angles as they're known, are used often in this episode. From the first frame, all...
Yeah, those Dutch angles, those crooked angles, kind of remind me of Battlefield Earth. Yeah, sorry if I say that, but they do kind of remind me of Battlefield Earth.
All the way up through nearly the end, they're shown with purpose, suggesting an eerie feeling, or more practically, mirroring the illness that our main character is experiencing. When David first enters the Hermitage, he's sick from being out in the storm. His wooziness leads to a fall that the camera matches with a tilt, mimicking vertigo. As always, a lot of the credit goes to cinematographer George T. Clemens for pulling off these camera movements. He and Douglas Hayes...
George T. Clemens sounds kind of like Samuel Clemens, because of the last name.
went all out to separate the look of this installment from most of the pack. Let's talk about the performances next, because they're just as important to the story as everything else. H.M. Wynant plays Ellington very theatrically. With how the script is written and the other characters and actors involved, this wasn't out of step with the episode, but I think he's by far the weakest of the cast. There's something about his delivery and expressions that could have been reined in a bit. In contrast, the legendary John Carradine nails his over-the-top portrayal of the Moses-like brother Jerome. Pretty much every
I knew it was based on Moses, I knew it.
second he's on screen is a joy.
What you saw is not a man. It is the devil himself.
Subtle and cliche.
The devil, how do you keep him locked up? with the staff of truth. One barrier he cannot pass.
In the short story and teleplay, the Staff of Truth
That kind of
is
reminds me of
actually a
that.
cross, but Douglas Hayes suggested changing it to avoid offending Christian groups who may see the show. Beaumont was against the change, but the Staff of Truth prevailed. The scenes with Robin Hughes as the Howling Man are genuinely engaging. His exchanges with Ellington make us question what's really going on. Speaking of which, this is an episode you should see for yourself before hearing my thoughts on the ending. It's definitely a recommendation for me, and I think just about everyone can find some attribute to like here, even if you're not a fan of the full piece. So again, go ahead and give it a watch if you've never seen it.
Already?
Ultimately, Ellington chooses to believe the man locked up in the cell. David steals the key to the room he's locked in with Brother Christophorus and quietly walks to the Howling Man. He removes the Staff of Truth blocking the cell door and frees the prisoner. The man slowly transforms into the actual devil and disappears in a puff of smoke. Brother Jerome then comforts the shocked Ellington.
I saw him and didn't recognize him.
That is man's weakness and Satan's strength.
From there, we dissolve to an older David who's been telling this story to his housekeeper. After decades of searching, he's trapped the devil himself and holds him in a room with a miniature Staff of Truth. He goes out to start the process of returning him to Brother Jerome and reiterates to the housekeeper to not open the door. Of course, as soon as he leaves, she removes the staff and the door slowly opens, ending the story. Charles Beaumont's Twilight Zone episodes always have a heavy sense of dread attached to them, and this may be the heaviest he wrote for the series. The themes of man being fooled and releasing the ultimate evil into the world doesn't have to be taken literally. You can view it through the lens of giving in to the temptation of distrusting each other, which leads to an infinity of escalating conflicts. Or I'm sure there are other interpretations out there that I'm not thinking of. Either way, I really liked the Howling Man. The titular character's transformation into the devil is impressive to say
Yeah, but today that devil comes looks too trick or treat like.
the least. The first lighting shift
Yeah,
uses
still.
the same technique from Season 1's Long Live Walter Jameson, and it's just as effective here. Going from red to green light reveals the red-colored makeup on the actor's face. Or it might be green light to red with green makeup here, but anyway,
How can you tell? It's in black and white.
it's an effect that still holds up and is a practical way to show off a quick metamorphosis. But they weren't done there. In another practical effect, Hayes borrowed from 1935's Werewolf in London, and we see the transformation continue from pillar to pillar until Hughes was in the full devil getup. They achieved this by taking the same camera movement on all 5 makeup stages. It's not seamless, but it was a really unique way to complete the conversion to full-on embodiment of evil. That music there really lifted
No,
the
he
moment.
does CGI it.
Supposedly, it's an unused theme for the Twilight Zone opening. It fits in perfectly here, building on the demonic transformation we're seeing. This reveal was another point of contention between Beaumont and Hayes. In the original short story, the devil is never seen at all. It's heavily implied that the Howling Man was who Brother Jerome claimed him to be, but some of it is left up to the imagination. In Beaumont's teleplay, he went a step further to have Ellington grab the character's foot as he escapes, only to find out it was a cloven hoof he was touching. With Hayes being such a visual director, he felt strongly that they needed a bigger payoff, and we got what we got. It was another big change Beaumont was against, but Hayes had the final say. While the makeup transitions are pretty outstanding, having the devil look so stereotypically devilish feels like a little much. The show used this character in a handful of stories, but he's always shown in an unconventional way. This depiction kind of went against that, but I can't complain too much. While a more subtle reveal would have worked, this one still made for a well-executed, memorable moment. The ending with the door opening is creepy and appropriate, but the original short story finished on Ellington being told that the brothers had recaptured the Howling Man. An uncharacteristically positive wrap-up for a more well-known Beaumont story. As for the episode, you should check it out again if you already have. If you've never seen it and know the twist now, it's still worth watching for the exceptional production aspects and performances.
Ancient folks say, you can catch the devil, but you can't hold him long. In the Twilight Zone.
Well, there you have it. My viewing and reaction to the Twilight-Tober Zone episode, or the Twilight-Tober Zone review of the Howling Man. If there's anything you want me to view and react to, let me know in the comment section below.